NFL Week 4 recap is officially here, but I wanted to add some extra stuff because we're gearing up for some other stuff. Week 5 predictions I'm going to be doing in the beginning, and we're also going to be doing my top 5 NBA teams that I think that are going to make it to the playoffs. Let's talk sports. How y'all doing? Guys, welcome back to the show, and let me tell y'all something, I'm loving these, we do some compilation stuff, we do some, adding some more stuff on top of it. I thought, instead of just, splitting this up and waiting until, Thursday night for, finally for my NFL Week 5 predictions, I say, what, fuck it, we're going to do it all together for y'all on Wednesday, and I'm going to put it all together for y'all. So, let me tell you how we've been doing this lately. I did this last week, but we're going to be adding a whole nother segment on top of this. So this is going to be a monster-ass long episode, but it's definitely worth it, guys. We're going to be doing my NFL Week 5 predictions of how I'm feeling, how I think who's going to win in NFL Week 5. I'll be getting the scores, my thoughts about these teams so far, etc. And then after that, we're going to be covering some NBA teams that I think that should be guaranteed to make it to the playoffs. I think these teams are, talented, etc. We'll be talking about that after. And then we'll get into Week 4 recap of all the action that I covered on Sunday and Monday and Thursday. So let's get into it, guys. NFL Week 5 is gearing up pretty soon. For October 2nd, alright, Thursday Night Football, we got the 49ers going up against the LA Rams, guys. Look, the 49ers have come down to earth. This team was undefeated. Somehow this team was undefeated. I don't know how. The injuries that this team had, it just makes you, want to lose your season. It felt like the season's honestly over for the 49ers. And I think that's definitely true when they go up against an opponent like the LA Rams. They couldn't beat the other team that they went up against on Week 4. So, LA Rams, Matthew Stafford, Panuka Akua, you got some great weapons. You got Matthew Stafford, and that's what I'm going to say here. You have Matthew Stafford, and when you have a veteran quarterback like Matthew Stafford that can just sling the goddamn rock, that can just go absolutely insane, you are in time. You're in for a good thrill. Now, the 49ers is a boring-ass football team right now. If you're a 49ers fan, I honestly, I feel bad for you, to be real with you, because this team is so boring to watch. Half their team is on injuries, and, it's all just a bunch of backups, and it's just like, damn. The 49ers had a chance to really pop out this season, and they already got the injury bug in the beginning. They're like the Bengals, too. They're in that same situation, but somehow the Bengals have not been able to capitalize on their backups, and the 49ers have been capitalizing on a field goal try or something like that to really keep it going. Overall, guys, I really think the LA Rams are going to be able to beat the 49ers. I'm going to say the Rams are going to win by at least 30. This is going to be one of those games where they fuck up the 49ers. Let's be real. 49ers is not a good team this year, and they're going to continue to be a really bad team this year since they lost almost everybody. The next game, and we got Sunday morning football again, which I'm kind of excited for. I love me some Sunday morning football. We got the Minnesota Vikings back-to-back Sunday morning football games. They had one against the Steelers. They got their ass beat. And now they're going up against the Cleveland Browns, this tough defense. Now, I don't know how the Cleveland Browns handle international games. I don't know if that defense is really going to be, really dominant on the international stage. But I think the Cleveland Browns are at least going to put up a good show. It's one of those teams where they're bad at football, but their defense can really keep them in games, can keep these games close, can make these games kind of entertaining, etc. So I do like that. But I will just be real with y'all. The Minnesota Vikings just look rough. I'm trying my best to keep up my hopes for the Minnesota Vikings, to keep saying that they're going to be a decent football team and all this stuff, And I really think the J.J. McCarthy move was such a bad move. I don't think that quarterback is going to mount to anything. I don't think, McConnell is a quarterback whisperer, what everybody keeps saying. Everybody's saying he just needs to whisper Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz is going to come out there and look really good. No, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think this Minnesota Vikings team is missing a valuable position right now. They have everything. They have the receivers. They have the offensive line. They have this. They have that. But they're missing one fundamental part of football, and it's the quarterback. I don't think Carson Wentz is going to carry this team, and I don't think J.J. McCarthy, when he comes back from injury, is also going to carry this team. I think either way, McConnell and his Vikings have kind of wasted talent. This is a burn the bridge type of year. Like, if you lose this, year, if you can't even go to the playoffs or anything like that, this team's going to fall apart. This team's going to get moved. This team's etc. You're just wasting a Super Bowl window. And they already wasted that window when they decided to go with J.J. McCarthy. They went with a rookie quarterback, and now the signs are really showing. Honestly, I mean, the Minnesota Vikings need, like, Geno Smith. They need something like that. You need Sam Darnold back. You need to pay Sam Darnold some more goddamn money. All right, get that motherfucker back in there and get him fucking going crazy again. Because J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz, come on, guys. No. But I do think through it all, I do think the Minnesota Vikings can squeak out a win. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game. It's the Cleveland Browns. It's their defense, etc. But Joe Flacco ain't going to do shit in this game. I mean, let's just be real. Joe Flacco is old. That offensive line sucks. The offense in the Cleveland Browns is fucking abysmal. So I do think the Minnesota Vikings have a chance to squeak this one out. I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings are going to win by 20, and that's just kind of it. I mean, they're going to get to... Honestly, guys, they might win by 18 or 19. I mean, it might be one of those type of games, and that's what I'm thinking. And then the 12 p.m. slot, 20 points. They're going to be able to keep it close, but Houston's going to lose. Miami Dolphins against the Carolina Panthers. Look, Miami Dolphins... they don't look like the worst football team. They still look like the worst football team, but it's like, if we're going to rank these shitty-ass teams, I would say the Jets are at the bottom right now. Carolina Panthers is next up. And then I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins are next up. And then I'll say the Jaguars are next up. And then I'll say not the Jaguars. Let's switch them around. I'm going to say the Tennessee Titans are next up. And then the Jaguars are next up. And, yeah. Look, it's so hard to rank shitty teams. It really is. Because these teams could look decent one week and look absolutely abysmal the next week. I mean, you never know with these, like, really unorganized organizations. I mean, it's just disappointing. But I think the Miami Dolphins can squeak out a win against the Carolina Panthers. Tua, honestly, if they just give the ball to Tua, if you let Tua do his passing shit, let Tua, get to the ball, keep that running game, not going, I think they can win. I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins are at least going to win by, 25. I'll give them 25. I think Miami Dolphins can squeak out 25 against the Carolina Panthers. And then I think the Panthers might get a couple of touchdowns, but I think the Panthers are going to win this game. I think they're one of the worst teams in football, and it's going to continue to look like that. Raiders against the Colts. Shit and shit. Or I guess you could say mid and mid going against each other. I just do not think the Colts are really that good. Everybody keeps convincing me. Everybody's trying to convince my brain that Daniel Jones and the Colts are going to be a showstopper team. Yeah, showstopper of fucking mid. Showstopper of ass. I mean, look. This team could squeak out shitty teams, and thankfully, you Daniel Jones fans, you're going up against a pretty shit team. The Raiders started out looking like a decent football team, with having Pete Carroll, having Geno Smith, having Ashton Jeanty, etc. But then the season started, and the mismanagement of this team, the culture is already dead in the Raiders. Ashton Jeanty, he tried to get some touchdowns last game, and good for him. But the Raiders just look bad, and they have a really good defense. I think the Raiders have a great defense. They got Cosby, they got that guy. But I do think the Colts are going to fuck up these Raiders, and I want the Raiders to win to keep the Daniel Jones hate going strong, because I don't like Daniel Jones. I don't like him as a quarterback. I don't like him as a team. Honestly, I don't even like the Colts. I think the Colts are one of the worst football teams there. But the Colts are surprisingly still winning. And I'm glad that they fell back to earth, but I think they're going to beat the Raiders by a lot of points. And that's really sad to say, but, hey, Colts are going to win by like 40. And everybody's going to be like, Daniel Jones is back. Daniel Jones is one of the best quarterbacks right now. He's going fucking crazy. And I'm just like, guys, again, Colts, you go up against shitty teams, you get shitty team results. The Colts go up against a good football team, and they lose. That's all I'm just going to say. All right, now let's move on to the New York Giants facing the Saints. Jackson Dart against Spencer Rattler. Who's going to win this match? Is it going to be Spencer Rattler? Is Spencer Rattler finally going to get his new, win or nothing? No. No. The Saints are one of the worst football teams there. I mean, if we're talking about shitty teams, the Saints are right there with those shitty teams. Honestly, I probably should have kept them at the bottom. Honestly, I need to do a shitty team rank list, for y'all one day, and the Saints are going to be there at the top because they suck ass. New York Giants are also suck ass too, but it's a weird thing where the New York Giants were under Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson is just so ass that, it makes sense. It really does. It makes sense why the New York Giants have been losing almost every single game that they've had. Because Russell Wilson is one of those players where, he throws moon balls. He loves to chunk the ball. He loves to, throw that bitch for 50 yards, throw that bitch for 70 yards, etc. And sometimes they land. Sometimes they catch those balls. But most of the time, they don't fucking catch that shit. And sometimes he's not even throwing it to any goddamn receivers. I mean, it is weird, in my opinion. I think Russell Wilson is one of the worst quarterbacks out there. So, now we got Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart could, really squeak out a win against these Saints. I want to see it. I want to see him beat the Saints. I think the Giants are going to win this game. I don't think Spencer Rattler is that good, and I do think Spencer Rattler and this whole Saints team is just going to keep falling apart as the season goes on. New York Giants are going to win, but it's Jackson Dart. It's not like a Russell Wilson thing, so I'm going to say Jackson Dart will win this, but it's going to be a kind of a squeak-out win. It's going to be a close game, etc., etc. So I'm going to say they're just going to win by 20. Next game, Dallas Cowboys against one of the worst teams in football recently is the New York Jets. And I know it's crazy to tell y'all that the Dallas Cowboys are not one of the worst teams in football, but I really think the Cowboys are pretty good this year. I think they're one of those teams that are actually pretty decent. Are they on the top? Are they on the top 5 level? Are they on the top 10 level? No. If they would have beat the Packers, I at least would have put them in the 10th spot, but they tied up with the Packers. So, no, not really. And Dallas Cowboys really needs a win. I mean, these guys have not really gotten a win ever since that one win that they got by that field goal, and that's kind of it. So, they really need a win. But the Jets look like one of the worst teams in football. Justin Fields looks ass. Ever since that concussion happened, he doesn't look the same now. His scrambling's not there. His ball throwing's not there. That offensive line's not there. That Jets defense is not there. The Jets running game, though, in my opinion, is still really good, but they don't like to run the ball. They like to give it to Justin Fields and call it a day, but, everything about the New York Jets is just disappointing. I mean, you got Aaron Glenn, you got a team that's trying to rebuild, and honestly, I think it's going to take oh my, it's going to take like 5 years. It's going to take like 6 years for the Jets to even be decent, to even be a decent football team. And I think that's really concerning. You know, at least win some football games. The Jets can't win any football games. And I think the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott's been looking so juiced up. He's been looking so fired. He's been on fire, hyping his team up that he's going to come over there and beat the Jets' ass. You're going to see it today. I think the Dallas Cowboys want some revenge. They're going to win by like 30. Now, the next game is Denver Broncos against the Philadelphia Eagles. What can I say about these Eagles, guys? These Eagles are so boring to watch. These guys became the Super Bowl champion, and now they just want to play so conservative that it's just boring to watch. I mean, this team went from a Super Bowl threat, to now where they don't even want to pass the ball, it feels like. They just want to run the ball. Maybe Jalen Hurts will start playing, once we get to the third or fourth quarter, etc., etc. But I'll just be real. The Eagles have not looked the best. That defense, too, from the Eagles is not good. I mean, it looks rough. The defense looks rough. I'm worried for these Eagles when they go up against a real team that they're going to get slapped up, That's why I'm not really scared of these Eagles this year. They're like the Chiefs, They're like the Chiefs. They're barely squeaking out these wins, It's kind of weird. Denver Broncos, though, they had a really exploding night, last Monday Football, etc. They really got to take down, the Bengals. But they went up against the Bengals. And when you go up against the Bengals, guys, you are going to win the football game. I mean, the Bengals look like one of the worst football teams, too. There's a lot of worst football teams right now in the NFL. Like, some of these teams, I'm going to be real, really need to start get going, because it is looking bad for some of these teams in the NFL right now as we keep going on. But I think the Eagles can win this game. If they do the Chiefs method, if they, keep playing conservative, they barely win, they squeak by, they maybe get a field goal in, maybe Saquon Barkley is able to run in for a touchdown in the last minute to win the game. I don't think this Denver, defense is really going to put much of a struggle, because here's my thing about the Denver Broncos is these guys will, really put up a good fight. The defense will. They'll put up a good fight against a good football team. But, the defense is not really that much of a threat anymore. I don't think the defense is all that. They were trying to hype up the Broncos in the preseason, and even now, they're still trying to hype up the Broncos. Every time, everybody's just like, elite defense, elite defense, elite defense. Elite defense, my ass. I mean, this defense just doesn't look good in my opinion. So, I mean, that's one thing about this team. I think the Eagles can win. So, I think the Eagles can win this game. I'll be real. It's not going to be anything pretty. I think it's going to be a slow-ass game. But this offensive side of the Broncos with Bo Nix and that offensive line, I really think Bo Nix has went down. Like everybody says, like Jaden Daniels is not looking good this year, or, some other rookie quarterbacks are not looking the best. I think Bo Nix is one of those quarterbacks that does not look good. He had one good year with Sean Payton, and now it's just kind of going downhill. I don't think Bo Nix is playing that good. So I think Bo Nix is kind of ass. I'll just be real. So I'm going to say the Eagles are going to win. It's going to be a slow win, but I think they can at least squeak out by 30. Tennessee Titans against the Arizona Cardinals. Kyrie Murray against Cam Ward. Look, when you got Cam Ward on the interview saying that, his team's ass, it's bad in the Tennessee world. Tennessee Titans look rough. And honestly, the Arizona Cardinals look rough too. These are two teams that look rough. But if we're going by the two ass teams, who's the better ass team? Well, it's the Arizona Cardinals. I trust the run game from the Cardinals better. I trust the passing game from Murray way better than Cam Ward. And I trust that defense to keep Cam Ward probably still scared to even throw the ball. I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals are going to win. But, guys, again, this is another one of those football teams. It's one of those football games that is going to be a slug to watch. It's one of those, like, keep on the red zone highlights. Keep the red zone going. When the red zone shows this game up, that's all you want to watch is just the red zone clips. Because, like, man, rough game. Arizona Cardinals are going to win, but it's going to be like 20. Buccaneers against the Seahawks. Buccaneers, they fell to the Philadelphia Eagles. This team doesn't look invincible anymore. They look like you could really beat them. But I'll be real, guys. The Seahawks, Seahawks every single year, I go, the Seahawks look like a decent football team. They can put pressure. Their defense can put pressure. Their offensive line can put some pressure. We got Sam Darnold now able to slug that ball. But if we're going Baker Mayfield against Sam Darnold, I'm picking Baker Mayfield. I'm not picking Sam Darnold to win this game. I'll just be real. Seahawks, they look scary on the surface, but once you actually start going up against some good football teams, you see this team actually crumble. I'm going to say the Bucs are going to win. For some reason, the Bucs have been playing really slow. I really hope that loss from the Philadelphia Eagles really kicks this team into overdrive. Baker Mayfield not playing slow, because you can't rely on 2-minute fourth quarter showouts. You can't rely on clutching the game up in the fourth quarter every single game. You need to come out swinging. You need to come out throwing a left hook, a right hook. You need to do all those things. And then, so I'm going to say the Bucs are going to win by 20. I hope the Bucs can win by 30 on this team, but it is the Seahawks defense. They are a little better than, some of the bad teams in the NFL. So I think this will be a little bit of a struggle for the Bucs, but I think they'll be able to, duke it out. Detroit Lions against the Bengals, my favorite team of the NFL, the best team in the NFL in my opinion. Look, guys, look at the Bengals. The Bengals are one of the worst teams in the NFL so far. My Lions are going to come over to the Bengals side, and they're going to completely fuck them up. The Lions are going to shit on the Bengals. Jared Goff's going to throw for like 300 yards. I mean, you're going to have, Sam Laporta catching the ball. You're going to have Amon St. Brown going crazy. You're going to have fucking, Gibbs and Montgomery teaming up, just cutting through this fucking defensive line. It's going to be beautiful to see. The Lions are going to win by like 40. I'm going to say, I think the Lions are going to win by 40 in this game. The Lions are going to completely fuck up the Bengals. Washington Commanders against not the LA Rams. I'm sorry. The Chargers. Oh, the Chargers. The Chargers kind of went back to faith. The Chargers should have won the last football game. I thought the Chargers were going to beat the Giants or, something like that. Because I thought the Chargers were looking like a Super Bowl contender. Justin Herbert was looking like a demon out there. Justin Herbert, he got with his girlfriend and, completely was going crazy, was locking in. Maybe there's something going on in the behind the scenes. Maybe Harbaugh's not playing his best. Honestly, I don't know. I don't care, guys. Look, I guess the Chargers are back to reality. They're looking like just like a playoff team. But the Commanders are not looking good. I mean, they lost Jaden Daniels for a little bit. I mean, I hope Jaden Daniels can come back for this game and really, piece up Justin Herbert. But when you only have a backup to rely on for the Commanders, your team just falls apart. And this is what happens when you only invest into the quarterback. You don't, put any other, really strong weapons in front. You don't have any other stars to carry your team when things like your quarterback goes down for injury. I'm going to say the Chargers are going to win this game, but it's going to be a slow win. It's going to be probably a rough game for both of these teams. But I hope Justin Herbert can really knock back into gear and completely fuck up the Commanders. I think they're at least going to win by like 25. Now, for Sunday Night Football, guys, we're going to have the New England Patriots against the Buffalo Bills. I'll be real. The Patriots have looked complete ass this year. I mean, Drake May had a really good game he had a good game the last week, but the weeks before that, Drake May has looked completely, utterly fucking dog shit out there. And then you're going up against Josh Allen. Josh Allen and the Bills. I mean, honestly, the Bills are easily going to win this football game. That New England Patriot defense is not as dominant as it was, back in the day. That defense looks rough. The reason why they're one of the bottom tier teams now, which is crazy, I guess you could say. It's like the Patriots switch. The Patriots went from one of the most dominant teams in the NFL, and they kind of switched sides with the Bills. They went from one of the most dominant teams to, one of the most ass teams in the NFL. So I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win, probably by a lot. I'm going to say like 30 to 35. Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars for Monday Night Football. Guys, this game could be interesting because the Chiefs look back. Patrick Mahomes looks dominant. They finally, for their last game, they finally broke through the 21 points that they always got in the last season. They broke through that. They're, scoring better than the Philadelphia Eagles this year. So I think the Chiefs can win this game. I think they can beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they need to. They need to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't want to see a close game. I don't want to see the Jacksonville Jaguars actually putting up a fight. I want to see Patrick Mahomes. I want to see Xavier Worthy. I want to see Travis Kelce. I want to see all these players completely fuck up the Jaguars. I want to see a dominant team again. Because I'll be real, the Chiefs look so unfun to watch most of the time that I just kind of lose my mind. I mean, it's like, goddamn, you are Patrick Mahomes. Throw that goddamn ball. Stop running. I don't know who the fuck is coaching anymore. Is Andy Reid even coaching? I mean, stop fucking running the ball. Throw that damn ball. Give Patrick Mahomes, your best player, your only real good-ass player, a fucking chance. I mean, you gave the ball to Patrick Mahomes, and look what he did. He got you a goddamn win. He was actually chunking that goddamn ball. Keep it up. Keep it up, Chiefs. Keep it up. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of watching good football teams play out their worst and making it like, they squeaked out a win. They won by 25 or 22. They finally got a win when there was just mistake after mistake, this and this and that just makes the game unfun to watch. So I want to see the Chiefs actually win. I think the Chiefs can win by like 30 against these Jaguars. You have to. It's the goddamn Jaguars. Please win. Please show something. I think the Chiefs can win by 30, and if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be heavily disappointed in the Chiefs. Hopefully they can win. Alright, guys. That's my NFL Week 5 predictions of how I'm feeling so far about the NFL. But don't go anywhere yet, guys, because we got a ton of more content to even talk about. We're going to be getting into my NBA top 5 teams who's going to easily make it to the playoffs. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's coming up right after this. And, guys, we're going to be going over all the NFL Week 4 recap action of what just happened. So, yeah, guys. So make sure you stay tuned. That's coming up next. You might be wondering why I'm putting the Ravens in the Texans game, talking about that prediction last. Well, it's because I recorded it earlier, and I didn't get the news. I didn't see the news, so let's actually talk about this game for real. Guys, for the 12 p.m. slot for, the Sunday, matchups, we got the Houston Texans going against the Baltimore Ravens. They're both at 1-3. It's kind of crazy how the Ravens are tied up. Or not tied up, I guess you could say, the same record as the Houston Texans. That is absolutely hilarious because the Houston Texans have a terrible offensive line. They have a decent defense, but I don't think the defense is as good as last year. That last year Texans defense was unstoppable. Not this year, though. I think they're a lot worse. But the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. And if you know about hamstring injuries, honestly, guys, the Ravens are officially cooked. They are officially done. I mean, if you lose Lamar Jackson and you already have so many beat up on your defensive side, so many on your offensive line side, this is now, I would say, one of the more injured teams of the NFL, which is kind of disappointing to say. You know, like these guys might even not. Baltimore Ravens might not even get to the playoffs because, you know, these other teams are going to step up and really take advantage of this opportunity. And even if Lamar Jackson comes back, it's a hamstring injury. I mean, he could not even look the same after this. So that is really disappointing to see Lamar Jackson get injured like this. I mean, the standings are not even looking good for this team, guys. It is definitely kind of scary to see the Baltimore Ravens kind of go down really quick. And honestly, the Houston Texans, they got a chance now. Lamar Jackson is not the quarterback. Hey, that means that the Houston Texans could actually goddamn win this game. And that would just be poetic if the Houston Texans actually beat the Baltimore Ravens. You know, Lamar Jackson not being there. I don't even know who they're going to have as a backup. I would be concerned if I have to put my backup QB from the Baltimore Ravens against this Houston Texans because C.J. Stroud is going to be able to, you know, throw that ball. He's going to be able to go goddamn crazy. He's going to be able to score all the points he wants. So this kind of flips the whole thing. Honestly, I think this could actually be a Houston Texan win. And I'm actually going to say C.J. Stroud is finally going to wake up. You know, after all of the media hate, after all of the shit that, you know, C.J. Stroud's been going through, I guess you could say, he's going to take all that anger and he's going to put it on those backup Ravens. So I'm going to say the Houston Texans are at least going to win by 20. Baltimore Ravens, I don't even think they're going to be able to hit that 30 or 40 mark because, you know, your offense relies on Lamar Jackson. And, you know, Derrick Henry is really good, and they got some really good running backs, etc. So they might be able to, you know, get some points in, really get the running game going. But if you're going to only rely on the running game, you know, in the modern NFL, we might have some problems here. I mean, unless you're the Lions, I don't think you want to rely on your running game like that. Lamar Jackson is one of those people that can easily win any of these games. So, you know, in my opinion, I think the Houston Texans can squeak out this win. I'm going to say the Houston Texans can win by 20. You know, nothing more. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game by C.J. Stroud because, I'll be real, C.J. Stroud has not looked that good this year. But I think he can beat the Ravens now. You know, that Ravens defense is so bad. You know, that defensive line's terrible. You know, that offensive line is not the same as the Ravens. And, you know, etc. I think C.J. Stroud can really get this win. So, I'm going to say the Texans will win this game. And this is going to be the end of the Ravens. I mean, this is literally the end of the Ravens. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, after they got blown out by the Lions, they got blown out by the Chiefs, the Ravens are not looking good. And now you lose Lamar Jackson. Losing Lamar Jackson definitely, kills this game. Or kills the momentum of this team and kills this game too. Which is a shame because I was really looking forward to a more exciting game on Sunday. But you're not going to have Lamar Jackson. This might be one of the more boring games on the Sunday slot. You know, this might be one of the more boring games on the slate. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. Texans are going to win. We're going to see it happen on Sunday. It is NBA goddamn time, guys. This is the NBA segment that I wanted to do because, you know, we're going to be doing the schedule recap. We're going to be doing, you know, all of the games that I talked about on Friday or Thursday, Thursday and Sunday. All the football games, stuff like that, guys. That'll be up next. But I wanted to talk about some NBA action because, guys, we're doing an NBA episode on Thursday morning. I mean, morning episodes are going to be coming. Nightly episodes are going to be coming. 4 a.m. episodes are going to be coming. The NBA preseason is officially starting tomorrow. And I already wanted to get something out how I'm feeling about the NBA so far. Now, guys, I kept up with the NBA for all 2024. But I'll be real with you, you know, I kind of just watched football, and then I kind of watched, you know, the NBA Finals and the playoffs, etc. But this year, I'm actually going to be going fully in-depth, actually watching almost all of the NBA games I can, you know, and I want to give y'all good coverage of all that. But we're going to be talking about some of my top teams who I think who are going to be making it easily into the playoffs for NBA, you know, 2025 and 2026. And honestly, one of these other teams, and I guess, if we're going to be talking about the NBA now, it's time to reveal my favorite team of the NBA. And this might not come as a shock to y'all if y'all, but, I've grown up all my life, watching OKC. I love the Oklahoma City Thunder, and to see these guys actually win a national championship, it was a really great, surreal feeling, really great thing for the city and all that stuff, etc. And that's one of my favorite teams, guys. I really love the Oklahoma City Thunder. I will continue to love these guys, and they'll always be my favorite team. So that's my favorite team. For if there's ever a game where the Oklahoma City Thunder are going against another team, I'm going to be real, guys. I'm going to be rooting for the OKC Thunder. All right, it's my favorite team. It's just like the Lions, but it's just like the Lions, guys, but it's basketball. So that's kind of how I feel. Now, we're going to go from 5 to 1. That's what I'm thinking. We're going to go from 5 to 1. I don't want to start from number 1. I'll save my number 1 for last. Number 5, who I think is going to be easily making it to the playoffs this year, is the Los Angeles Lakers, guys. I really think, with, playoff contention could easily happen with Luka Doncic. Because, look, Luka's going to be in this team. Now, I will say, when he first came in the 2024 lineup, he didn't look that dominant. But now I think now that he's getting used to, being with LeBron, being with these other team members and stuff like that, I really think that Luka can actually really become something special in the Los Angeles Lakers team. And with how LeBron is kind of going now these days, he's an older player, now he's a legend. But he's a very older player. And, if you have a moment where, LeBron it can only play a couple of quarters, can only play one half, and you need Luka to really get in there to do his thing, I really think, having, Luka, LeBron, having Aiden, and, Aiden's rim protection, fixes some defensive holes, and could definitely make him a contender. That defense is looking a lot better for the Los Angeles Lakers, and that offense with Luka now is looking a little explosive. I think, having Luka can easily get you into the playoffs. So, I really hope that this will actually happen, in my opinion. I hope we get a Lakers in the playoffs, because always having the Lakers in the playoffs is a fun thing for the NBA. I mean, these guys are, used to be one of the most dominant teams. I was really watching some documentaries, some old, championships, some 89, and the Lakers are always around there, which is really cool. Number 4, though, a team that I think that's going to be a lot better than the Los Angeles Lakers because they have one player that's going to change the whole landscape is the Houston Rockets. Guys. Now, for 2024, these guys had a strong regular season. They added some grit, but fell short in the playoffs. But they benefited from a late Suns trade, and they acquired Kevin Durant. And having Kevin Durant now, this guy is amazing. I mean, we look at LeBron and what LeBron can do in his age, but look at what Kevin Durant is still doing in his age. I mean, that is just an absolute game changer. And they also got Marcus Smart for defense. So having all of these elements is just going to be a big benefit in my opinion. Now, number 3, guys, I'm going to put in the Knicks. These guys actually made it to the, Eastern Conference Finals. We had Jalen Brunson. This team is really good. I mean, let's just be real. They got that backcourt depth. They got Malcolm, and they got Brunson. And I just think this team can easily make it to the playoffs, in my opinion. The New York Knicks are one of those teams where they're going to get to the playoffs. Don't count this team short. No matter what happens, no matter if they get a new coach or some shit like that, it doesn't matter. This team is always going to make it. And then 2, I will be putting the Cleveland Cavaliers. This was the East's number 1 seed. 64 wins. They had a deep playoff run to the conference semis, before they went against the Pacers. And the Pacers, did some great shit. Now, I don't think the Pacers are in the top 5 question of teams. They might be in that 6 or 7 range type shit. But, I think, having having Mitchell, having Mobley, having Garland, having Allen. I mean, all these players return, and they added DeAndre Hunter for wing defense. That is really cool. They had the best record in the East last year, and I think they can easily take that spot. Cleveland Cavaliers can definitely get it there in the East. And I want to see it. I want to see the Cavaliers actually do something. I want to see them have a deep playoff run again. And hopefully they can do it. But, having the Houston Rockets up there, having the Knicks, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. But I think they could take down the east side of the, NBA landscape. And then number one. Number goddamn one. I mean, maybe this is just, me being biased, I guess you could say, but I really wanted to, even put them in number one because this is one of the best teams in the NBA, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. NBA champions. And they're NBA champions right now, and they have the youngest roster to win a title in decades. They led the West, which is one of the hardest divisions in the NBA, and they have an elite defense. I mean, they're top 3 in points allowed. That is just insane in my opinion. They retained their entire rotation, and that's really cool. They're defending champs with unmatched youth and balance. You got Shea Alexander, and then you got all of these other players that are really great, Chet, etc., on the defensive side. And these players are young, so they're going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to get even better. So when you have that young talent that can even get better, guys, we're looking at a dynasty here. We are looking at a full-on dynasty. This is like the Chiefs or some shit. You got the star player, and then you got the good-ass side pieces that are going to make this team even greater as the years goes on. So I think in 2025, this is going to be one of the better teams that are going to be going to the playoffs next year. And if they don't, that's going to be very concerning if that doesn't happen. But I have faith in the OKC, especially now. How far their playoff run was. They weren't perfect in the playoffs. They had to really battle it out in the playoffs, but they did it. And I think that's something that a lot of teams that can't do. A lot of teams that can't go the full distance. The OKC are young. They can go the full distance. They can fight you out in 7 playoff games and win and come out fucking winning. And that's a really cool thing in my opinion. So guys, let me know, what's your top 5 teams that you're thinking are going to go to the playoffs? Who do you have in there? Let me know, guys. And are you excited for the NBA 2025 and 2026 season? I know I am. Preseason is starting October 2nd, so get ready for that coverage, guys. And I'll let y'all get back to the NFL content. We got a lot of recaps of what I talked about on Sunday and Thursday, and Monday Night Football too. So we got a lot of recaps for y'all to listen to. I'll see y'all on October 2nd. I'm going to be doing a morning, not a morning episode. It's going to be, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. around there. But there will be a recap of that preseason game that I watch in the morning. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that, and I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Yeah, guys, let's get you back to the NFL. Bye. The Seahawks and Sam Darnold destroy the Arizona Cardinals, guys. NFL Week 4. Let's talk sports. Lord mighty. I just got done watching Thursday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks are going up against the Arizona Cardinals. I was really expecting a more, I guess you would say, I was expecting more of a, I don't know, guys, maybe a football game. I really just watched a shitty-ass Thursday Night Football game. I mean, guys, that was hard to watch. I mean, look, Sam Darnold was playing pretty good, but that was kind of it. I mean, it was Sam Darnold, and, Panuka was catching that. Puka was catching some balls, and that looked really cool. But, man, the Arizona Cardinals stayed at 3 points. I'm not even kidding. They stayed at 3 points until quarter 3. And they finally made a field goal at quarter 3. Look, I get it. Thursday Night Football is really hard to prepare for. I mean, it's always on a Thursday night. Maybe you're not feeling your best, But if you got to take till quarter three, not even quarter three, if you got to take till the fourth quarter to finally start playing good, to finally start showing something, to finally really lock in and win this game, I mean, very disappointing. You know, the Arizona Cardinals were able to tie this game up, but you tied this game up too late. And by the way, you tie it up, you maybe could have, won the game if you wanted to, make the Seahawks actually have to, put some effort, grind for this, because immediately when the kickoff happens in the fourth quarter, guys, they short kick it. And if you know the new NFL rules, if you don't go past the 20-yard line, they're going to move it up to the 40. And when you move it up to the 40, you are already in field goal range. You just need a couple of passes. And when you get your timeouts going, it's over. So the Arizona Cardinals, in my opinion, have lost this game to me when they field goaled it at quarter three. You are down by so many goddamn scores, and you decide to go for a field goal? Come on, guys. I mean, guys, I get it. Playing conservative, has its methods. I will be real. Sometimes playing really conservative, really keeping it at bay like the Eagles are doing, that's great. But when the Eagles are losing, when the Eagles feel like they're not going to win this game, they unlock Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts will start passing the ball. Jalen Hurts will, pull up in clutch time. And what I saw today from the Arizona Cardinals was clutch time when the game is already over. You tie it up, and then you fuck up your kickoff. Your special teams fuck up the kickoff, and then now this game is over. And I feel like this game would not have been over if y'all could have got a touchdown on any of the other quarters. That could have switched the whole entire game. The momentum of the game could have been completely different if you actually scored on any of them quarters. Instead, we chose field goals. Instead, we chose to pussy out. And I understand, putting points on the board. On the first field goal, I completely understand. All right, nobody's in the lead. You want to take the lead. You couldn't get that third down conversion. Go for the field goal. Fine. But you're telling me when you're down at this point, when Sam Darnold is kicking your goddamn ass, when he's easily just chunking the ball and easily catching these damn balls, all the wide receivers are catching, the run game's going crazy, the offensive line is really keeping this whole thing together, and you go for a field goal. I just think it's so disappointing when these teams, go, we want to win. We want to get a winning record. We want to do something. And their offense is uninspired. Their defense is uninspired. Their defense was so lazy out there. There was a moment where they could have stopped the Seahawks from getting a touchdown if one of their stars on the defensive side of the ball would have just tackled him. But no, because they weren't inspired. They weren't playing with any passion. I get it's Thursday Night Football, but this is a divisional round game. You got to put your all into this. This is like a rival match. You really got to win the game. This could be, this could have so many consequences for your season going forward. You should probably lock the fuck in. I'm just so disappointed with these Arizona Cardinals. They looked ass out there today. Kyrie Murray was not throwing the ball well. The run game couldn't get going. And it just felt like I was watching an uninspired team. I knew the Arizona Cardinals were not playing that good this year, but this is definitely an eye-opener. I mean, guys, the Seahawks are not even that good of a football team. They went up against a divisional matchup, and they got their ass kicked. They lost. The Arizona Cardinals had a chance to actually pull this game through. They had a chance. They tied up the game. You could have went for a 2-point conversion. You're playing conservative throughout the whole entire game. Maybe put, Sam Darnold and put the Seahawks defense on their fucking toes when you go for a 2-pointer and trying to win. Hey, I feel like that would have been a lot better. It would have put some pressure, right? Would have put some pressure on the Seahawks. Would have made them, their heart drop a little bit. I don't understand. I get it. The new NFL rules are really favoring now the kickoff, the field goal. The field goal is so much more popular now because, now you have a chance to really get there. But when it's next year, and next year when every special teams finally has this new kickoff rule down, and they can, not let the other team get that 40 yards when they can, these special teams actually lock in, well, now your conservative play is not going to be anything. I don't understand playing conservative when you're down by so many scores. They had 6 points. Not even a touchdown. On the third quarter, they went for 2 field goals. I understand going for field goals if you're going to do more than just a couple. A couple of field goals throughout the whole entire game. And then now Kyrie Murray wants to lock in. And now he wants to start, passing the ball right. Now he wants to start, playing with some intensity. Now he wants to play high tempo. Now he wants to get a goddamn touchdown. Now he wants to tie up the game. And this is what he does. This is what I'm saying. This is why the Cardinals will never be a good football team. Because these guys do not play with any inspiration. They play with no fire under their belt. And when they lock in and try, they lock and try on these terrible-ass teams. Hey, guess what? Your whole schedule is not terrible teams. You're going to have to play like really good against good teams. The Seahawks, in my opinion, are a good football team. Now, are they amazing? Now, are they like the Lions or the Ravens or the Chargers right now or the Chiefs or the Bills or the Eagles? Are they any of those type of teams? No, they're not. But they're still a pretty good football team, and you got to play at your best. And when you can see in the fourth quarter that, Kyrie Murray's able to shred up this Seahawks defense, then I'm going, what the fuck have you been doing? Quarter 1, were you asleep? Quarter 2, were you asleep? Quarter 3, were you taking a fucking nap back there while your offensive line was trying to keep you alive? Because, what are we doing? It just, makes me mad sometimes. And then if you play like this, I'm watching one of the most boring-ass Thursday night football games in my life. I mean, Lord mighty. Can't make this up. I don't know why the Cardinals want to play like this. Makes no sense to me in my opinion. But let's go over the recap. First quarter, the Cardinals start off with a field goal, and then the Seahawks respond with a touchdown. We start off with a 12-yard pass from Sam Darnold, a 9-yard run, a 21-yard run from Walker, 8-yard run, 11-yard pass, and Sam Darnold throws a short left pass and gets a touchdown. Seahawks respond in the second quarter with a touchdown, 32-yard pass. Sam Darnold was going crazy. A 24-yard pass, 15-yard run, a 2-yard run, get a penalty going there, then we get a 0-yard run, then we get some timeouts going in, some incomplete passes, and then finally the run game gets going at 3rd and 1, and we get a touchdown in. And this touchdown could have been stopped. But again, the Cardinals' defense was playing very uninspiring. Field goal frenzy for the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Fourth quarter, they get a field goal in for the Seahawks, and then Arizona finally wants to start playing the game. They get a touchdown, 11 plays, 58 yards. We start off with a 3-yard pass, 29-yard run, 1-yard run, a 1-yard run, a 9-yard pass, 6-yard run. We get some penalties going in. We get a sack going in, but then Murray's able to throw a deep left pass to Harrison. Harrison gets a 16-yard touchdown. And then I do like this drive. 16 plays, 57, yards to really clutch up the game, to really tie it up. We get a 6-yard pass. Then we get some incomplete passes going in. We get a timeout going in. Then we get some 5-yard passes going in. An 8-yard run, a sack, 15-yard pass, a 5-yard pass, 18-yard pass, and then we get a 0-yard run. We get a timeout, throw it in, but then Kyrie Murray throws a short left pass and gets a touchdown. And then the Seahawks are able to close this game out with just a field goal because, once again, they really mess up. Your special teams wasn't not even playing that good in this game. So if your special teams weren't even playing that good, maybe you should have went with the 2-point conversion, because I feel like that would have flipped the momentum. What if you were in the lead and you kicked off the ball? Like, I feel like that would have been so much better than tying up and, let's be a little lazy. Let's try to get maybe a short kick. So, he can run out and waste as much time. Nah, don't fucking do that. Stop playing so conservative. I don't understand. I love how the Lions, going up against the Ravens, a Super Bowl contender team, and they go for it on fourth down. They're at the goal line, and when you're at the goal line, fourth down conversions are some of the hardest things you can do. And the Lions show no fear, and they go for it. Other teams, good football teams that know that other teams, when they know their game is on the line, they go for it on fourth downs. When you could lose this game, they go for the touchdown. They don't stick around for a field goal. Because when you do a field goal at this point, you're just telling me you want to lose. You're telling me you want to give up. It just makes no sense to me. Guys, let's rate these teams. Seahawks today, the offense side of the ball is going to get a 7 out of 10. I loved how Sam Darnold played today. Really good, really good. Wide receivers were on point. Offensive line, yes, they allowed a few sacks, but most of all, the offensive line kept Sam Darnold up. They kept the run game going. They did their thing. Seahawks defense, I will say, kind of, fell asleep in the fourth quarter, so I'll give them I'll give them 5 out of 10. Cardinals are going to get a 5 out of 10 for their offense and their defense. I don't know what this team was playing today, but they should be very disappointed. Very disappointed. I mean, what was I even watching? Guys, let me know. How y'all feeling about NFL Week 4? How'd y'all feel about Thursday Night Football? I definitely did not have a great time watching this game. But hopefully the Sunday action is even better because we got some really high anticipated games. For my Pandora people, if you're on Pandora, make sure you follow. We're covering the NFL all the way through 2025 and 2026. Make sure y'all get ready for October 2nd too. We'll be doing the NBA. I'll be covering the NBA preseason. Then we'll be covering the NBA's Week 1. Once Week 1 actually starts in October. So yeah, guys, if you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye. Green Bay Packers battle the Dallas Cowboys, and the Chiefs are finally back. The Ravens get destroyed. Let's talk sports. How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode, guys. It is NFL Week 4 Sunday. It's a Sunday. I've been watching football all morning. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I think I'm kind of football brain dead. Waking up, at 7 a.m. to watch some football and then, continuing to watch football for the whole entire day till now. I mean, guys, that was kind of tiring. I can't even lie to you. But I had a blast watching a lot of the Sunday action, guys. Even the Sunday morning football game. I was pretty surprised how fun that game actually was. It was a pretty close game. And then I just got done watching the Sunday night football game, and that shit was fucking legendary. I mean, we had the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys tie up the goddamn game. There's some new overtime rules now where if, the game can end in a tie, and these guys were able to tie it up by 40-40. That is just absolutely insane in my opinion. I mean, I'll just be real, guys. I think the Dallas Cowboys looked absolutely fantastic in this game. Dak Prescott was going crazy. George Pickens was replacing CeeDee Lamb for this game. And it's like George Pickens, picked up everything that CeeDee Lamb's good at, plus everything George Pickens was good at in the Steelers, and kind of just combines it together and just goes fucking absolutely insane. I mean, goddamn. This man was making some of the hardest catches in his life, some of the most easiest catches in his life. I mean, holy shit, Dak Prescott was chunking that goddamn ball. It was honestly awesome in my opinion. Seeing Dak Prescott fired up every time that man got a touchdown. And I really loved how the Dallas Cowboys really attacked in this game. And, a lot of the things that I've been saying about some of the NFL teams that they've been doing a lot lately, I feel like we've been... So now we're all like about field goals. We're about to be conservative, keeping that conservative play going. I really like it when teams are like, we need to win a football game. And we're going to try our absolute hardest to win a football game. And I think these two teams really tried their hardest. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys would score, and then the Green Bay Packers would respond and score, and it just kept happening over and over and over again. And it was kind of weird because the first quarter and the second quarter, it kind of felt like the Cowboys were a little bit given up. You know, they had to have that second quarter spark, and then that carried throughout the rest of the entire game. And you know how that happened, guys? Somehow, out of all teams in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys are the ones to actually block a fucking punt. They blocked a whole ass punt, and then they ran it back for 2 points. I mean, that is just absolutely insane in my opinion. I mean, he just grabbed that ball and went fucking running down there, going absolutely insane. And then after that, it's like the Dallas Cowboys got like, it was like meth. Meth shot up into their system, and they went fucking insane. Dak Prescott looked juiced up. George Pickens looked like he was catching, almost every single pass that he was given to. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful to watch. Jordan Love was playing pretty good. Micah Parsons was delivering that pressure, making Dak Prescott, there were some throws where I thought Dak Prescott was going to get his ass sacked, but he was able to manage to get him off before, anything bad would happen. So that's definitely a really good thing in my opinion. I just like the intensity that this game was. It was action-packed. After that second quarter trial, this game just became a whole different football game. It honestly became a classic in my opinion. I mean, honestly, guys, at one point, I thought the Dallas Cowboys were probably going to win this football game. I will just be goddamn real with you. They were in the lead. We were in overtime, and they were in the lead. And then there was that, where Jordan Love was taking so much time off the clock where they could barely even get a field goal out. I mean, he took so much time off the clock that there was only 1 second. One single goddamn second. I mean, holy shit. I mean, that is just bad luck right there. But they were able to get the field goal off. They were able to tie up the game. And I guess these games can end in a tie now. They don't want to do the old overtime rules where, only one team gets a touchdown. Now it's like college where, like, now, if you win the coin toss or you lose it or whatever, you get a chance to get your chance at possession or whatever. You get to choose that. So that's a really cool thing. I like that you get to choose that stuff, etc., guys. I really like this game. It does suck that this game had to end in a tie, but it's one of those ties where I guess it makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't make sense. You got the Green Bay Packers at 40, you got the Dallas Cowboys at 40. I mean, I wish my Lions could have tied up with the Packers. That would have been really cool instead of fucking getting my ass beat. That would have been fine. But I really liked how the Dallas Cowboys played today. George Pickens looked absolutely insane. Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys offense, in my opinion today, are going to get an 8 out of 10. I think they played great. Defensively, too, I think the defense on both sides of the ball wasn't that good. I will be real. Dallas defense does look limited, and that is a problem if they're going to be going up against all these opponents. But I do like how they'd made some quarter adjustments. They made some halftime and adjustments, and they actually, really bossed up and really tried to stop the Packers, and they had them for a minute. But, when you got Jordan Love going crazy, throwing that goddamn ball, I mean, what else could you goddamn do? Now, guys, let's move on to the morning clock game. This was at like 8 a.m. The Minnesota Vikings taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will be real, I was kind of surprised. In my predictions, I said the Vikings were going to win. I said Carson Wentz is going to, beat up Aaron Rodgers. He's going to fuck up Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be goddamn throwing that goddamn ball. And it was the opposite. Carson Wentz couldn't do anything in this game. And Aaron Rodgers was actually the one being able to sling the ball off, being able to actually get some really nice touchdown passes. I'll be real. I liked how the Steelers played today. Even the defense, TJ Watt got an interception. There were some sacks that were happening in this game. It felt like the Steelers' defense was a little back. For the past couple of weeks, the Steelers' defense, in my opinion, has not been that good. They look uninspired, they look lazy, etc. For some reason, they went to Ireland and they said, you know what, we're going to play our absolute fucking hardest. So, I guess, you have to go to Ireland if you're the Steelers, but as long as they go to Ireland, they go to Dublin, they will completely win. I like that. And then unexpectedly, another prediction that I definitely got wrong was the Washington Commanders going up against the Atlanta Falcons. I thought the Atlanta Falcons were cooked, but Michael Penix Jr. said, nah. Don't forget the Atlanta Falcons name. 27-34. I mean, goddamn. I should never said the Washington Commanders were going to win this game. I was wrong. Their backup sucks, and they need Jaden Daniels really bad. All right, 27-34. I was watching the red zone highlights, and every time they went to the red zone, the Atlanta Falcons were fucking them up. I mean, every single time. It was kind of funny in my opinion. And and then this game right here. 19-31, the Saints going up against the Buffalo Bills. Every time this game kept coming on for me, these people kept saying the Saints were making this game close. And I guess, yeah, they could be close. But quarter 2, they didn't have no points. But then quarter 3, they had a touchdown. And then quarter 4, they had 10 points. So, I don't know what they were talking about on the media side of things. But the Saints were not doing good. Spencer Rattler looked like a joke in there. Buffalo Bills looked like a joke too. I mean, these guys should play a lot better. I mean, they were genuinely goddamn struggling in the beginning. I mean, they got a couple of touchdowns in, etc. But I'll just be real. I think this team, could have done a lot better. Now, another team that I'm very excited that won is the Cleveland Browns going up against my team, my favorite football team in the whole world. Is the Lions, the best football team. 10-34. They went up against the Cleveland's defense, and they completely smacked that goddamn... they completely smacked that defense around. I mean, that shit was beautiful to see. My Lions were just scoring touchdowns and touchdowns and touchdowns. I was a little worried because Jared Goff did throw an interception, so I was a little worried. But then I remember that the Cleveland's offense is completely ass. Joe Flacco ain't doing a goddamn thing. Let's just be goddamn real. 10-34. I loved how the Lions played. They're looking good. I'm just telling y'all, look, you caught the Lions on a bad day. The Packers did. Once we get that Packers rematch, my Lions team's going to fuck up the Packers. Another team that really needed a win, and a win that I expected Houston to win. Thank God they won, even though it felt like they were kind of barely winning. I mean, they had a field goal at quarter 1. They had a field goal at quarter 2. The Tennessee Titans go up against the Houston Texans. 0-26. Cam Ward couldn't even get a touchdown. And honestly, these guys couldn't even get a touchdown until quarter 4. So, honestly, am I even giving Houston Texans that much praise? No. They didn't look dominant at all. That defense didn't look dominant at all. I mean, they kept the Tennessee Titans at 0. But you can keep the Tennessee Titans at 0 if you're a decent football team. Let's just be real. I mean, the Tennessee Titans are like the meth heads of football. They just completely suck ass. So that's kind of funny that the Houston Texans were able to, win this game. Finally, they win one game in their life. And then another game that was really good, which the Carolina Panthers go up against the Patriots. The Patriots completely fucked over the Carolina Panthers. 13-42. Thank God. It looked like the Patriots were really struggling in this season. I thought that, their quarterback, Drake May, was looking completely ass. The beginning of the season, I was wondering, did Drake May lose his touch? But no, he had to go up against the Carolina Panthers. Maybe that gives him some confidence back. I will say, good job beating the Carolina Panthers, because the Panthers were able to piece up the Atlanta Falcons. So, that's something. Chargers go up against Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, this is his first game starting against the Giants. And the Giants actually win this football game. I couldn't believe it. I'll be real. This was the undefeated Chargers. This was Justin Herbert. I trusted Justin Herbert to easily win this game. And the Giants proved me wrong. Jackson Dart, went up there and, completely killed it. And I'll be real, guys. Jackson Dart looked pretty good in my opinion. I mean, that man came up there. He was making them easy passes. And he was able to scramble the ball. Russell Wilson. He can't scramble for shit. You'd be lucky if, Russell Wilson can even run the ball. I mean, holy shit. Jackson Dart came in there, his rookie start, he was able to take down a pretty impressive team. I mean, the Chargers, everybody was thinking these guys might go to the Super Bowl, or they might win, they might win the AFC or some shit like that because they beat the Chiefs. And, the Giants were able to upset. I really like that. The score was 18-21. I mean, this wasn't a dominant win. This wasn't like the Giants kicking, the Chargers' ass. But I do like how Jackson Dart, his first game, he was able to get a win. He looked better than J.J. McCarthy, and that's saying a lot. Eagles against the Buccaneers. Guys, I'll be real. I went against the Philadelphia Eagles. I said, you know what? They're like the Chiefs this year. They're going to lose. They're going to lose against my boy Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's going to come in there and just completely kick their ass, fourth quarter. And I was completely wrong. I don't know what it is. I guess the Eagles, looked at the Chiefs and said, hey, what kind of devil magic are you doing? What kind of, satanic rituals are you doing to get really good? And I think they stole the Chiefs' ideas. So that's how they won against this game. 31-25. I'll be real. Baker Mayfield looked ass in this game. That offensive line looked ass. That defense, I mean, guys, the Bucs did not look good at all. And I'll be real. The Eagles looked dominant. Jalen Hurts looked good. I mean, that defense was really dominant, really good. And, Baker Mayfield couldn't do his fourth quarter magic. And then another team that I fucking knew it. I knew it. This is why I stick with my opinions, because the Colts have been on this 3-streak run. Everybody's saying Indiana Jones. They're saying, Daniel Jones is going to be fucking killing everybody in the quarterback landscape. Guess what? Guess what, Daniel Jones? Guess what, Colts? When you go up against an actual good football team, when you go up against a football team that's actually got a legend on there, when you got Matthew Stafford, when you got all these different weapons, you go up against a real football team, you get your ass beat. 20-27, I love seeing the Colts finally lose. It was bound to happen, in my opinion. I'll be real. I love seeing Daniel Jones get his ass beat. He needs it. He needs to be humbled. Good job. 20-27. And then a team that I was really disappointed in was the 49ers. Look, the 49ers have been barely winning football games. I mean, they've been winning by miracles. They need to pray to Jesus if they want to win a football game. And I'll just be real. The Jags look kind of good. I mean, the Jags actually might be a decent football team this year. This was an undefeated team. And when you beat an undefeated team like this, you start getting some eyes on you. Start, really, working up. 26-21. I'm disappointed with the 49ers, but I like how the Jags played. Good job, Jags. You did your thing. And then one of the big games, I thought was going to be a big game. I was like, this is going to be a highly competitive game, etc. The Ravens against the Chiefs. I was thinking the Ravens are going to, go crazy, kick a bunch of ass. The Chiefs are going to, do the Chiefs thing. They don't fucking kick ass or nothing like that. Guys, this was the complete opposite. 20-37. The Chiefs are back. I mean, y'all realize last season the Chiefs won every single game by 21 or above. 21 points or above. This is fucking insane. 37 points? That's almost a 40-piece. They almost 40 fucking pieced them. Like my Lions did. My Lions completely fucked the Ravens. And the Chiefs come in here and they completely fucked the Ravens again. I mean, it was beautiful to see. Patrick Mahomes was slinging that goddamn rock. Xavier Worthy's back, actually catching some balls. You even had Travis Kelce not actually injure his own players. He's actually, catching the goddamn ball, so that's really cool. And yeah, guys, I mean, look, I'll be real. The Ravens do not look that much of a threat. Lamar Jackson is getting sacked so many times. He's getting sacked so many times that you can't even count it. I mean, I think he's got 7+ sacks this year already. And plus that defensive line is completely ass. That defense can't protect shit. I'm not trusting that defense winning me any football games, and I don't think they should trust their own defense. Now, another game that, I honestly didn't really care about this game. It was the Bears against the Raiders. Geno Smith against Caleb Williams. Pete Carroll against Ben Johnson, these two coaches. It looked like the Raiders might win this game. And then, the Bears did some, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, fourth quarter magic. And, I'll just be real. I don't think the Bears are a real deal, but I'm glad that they actually won a football game. These guys need a couple of wins. I mean, I'll tell you, they were losing so many football games that the Ben Johnson post-interview, this man was just going, yeah, my team sucks. Our team's not ready to win the Super Bowl or nothing. So, good thing they got a win. Good job, Bears. And yeah, guys, that's going to end it off for Sunday Night Football for Week 4. Let me know, guys, how y'all feeling about Week 4? I think Week 4 was actually really good. There was a couple of games that I expected to have a little bit more juice to them that didn't. But I do love seeing the Colts lose. I really wish the Dallas Cowboys would have won that match because I want to see the Green Bay Packers suffer. I want to see the Packers, lose all their players because they beat my Lions in Week 1. I just want to see that happen, in my opinion. So let me know how y'all feeling about Week 4 of the NFL. My Pandora people, if you're on Pandora, make sure you follow. We're covering the NFL, and I'm covering the NBA all through 2025, all through 2026. So make sure you follow. We're dropping new content every single day, guys. And if you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. And I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Actually, I'll see y'all on Monday Night Football. All right, we got 2 games to talk about on Monday Night Football. Yeah, guys. Bye. Broncos destroy the Bengals. The Miami Dolphins finally get a win, and the Jets are looking rough. Let's talk sports. How y'all doing? NFL Week 4. This is the final day of Week 4, guys. Week 4 honestly wasn't too bad. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Week 3 was a little rough. Week 3 was a little slow. But Week 4, the Thursday Night Football was pretty good. And the Sunday slot of games were actually pretty decent, too. But I will be real with y'all. Monday Night Football was definitely a goddamn snooze fest. I mean, holy shit. Tyreek Hill got injured. And I'm pretty sure this man's got a season career-ending, injury. I mean, and that sucks to see. But I'll be real. Tyreek Hill was not doing anything on the Dolphins till today. So it does suck he gets an injury, but this guy hasn't even been, locked in for like 3 games. So, I mean, is it really a loss? Is it really a win? I don't know. Let's be real. I hope Tyreek, Hill, I don't know, gets better injury-wise, I guess you could say. But, I'll just be real. Tyreek Hill has not been playing the best. I don't know why they gave him such a big contract. This man's been playing ass for like 2 years now. So whatever about that. Sucks to see an injury happen, one of their best players. But I'll be real with you. That game was a snooze fest. Even the Dolphins winning that game, the Dolphins don't look that confident. I mean, their run game looked pretty, all right. And I do like Tua was making some touchdown passes. Good job from Tua. But I'll just be real. These Dolphins look like ass. I mean, these Dolphins look like complete just, it's like they're going up against a team that, in my opinion, might be worse than Dolphins, which is the Jets. And we're going to get into the Jets because the Jets, I don't know what the fuck is happening to the Jets. I mean, they lost Justin Fields for a little bit, but then Justin Fields came back, and it looks like Justin Fields does not look the same at all anymore. So that's definitely a big concern. And it's definitely a risk when you do have injuries or you're out for like a concussion or something like that. I mean, look at Tua. Tua got a concussion injury. He came back to football, and that man has not looked the same ever since. So, really disappointing to see Justin Fields, too, not playing his best. I mean, holy shit. This just whole game. Let's just get into it, guys. New York Jets against the Miami Dolphins, 21-27. Now, it looks like the Jets finally started scoring some shit, but it was too late. When the Miami Dolphins are fucking you up, when the Miami Dolphins are ahead of you by most of the game, and you can only get a field goal, then a touchdown in the third quarter, and then fourth quarter, let's now, get some points going. I mean, by then, you're just getting garbage time points. The game's over at this point. 21-27, It looked like the Miami Dolphins defense was dominant today. They were keeping Justin Fields at bay. He couldn't even scramble the ball. You know, the defense was easily breaking the offensive line. I mean, holy shit. The Jets looked awful. And that's coming from me, who was talking about the Miami Dolphins looking completely ass. You know, I'll be real. Ever since the Dolphins did that close game with the Bills, you know, the Dolphins have been going up a little bit. You know, the Dolphins are not looking so bad. They're still one of the worst teams in the NFL. But I think what I can, you know, now confidently say from a, you know, 0-4 team, an 0-4, you know, losing team, I'm going to just be real. The Jets look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, these guys got a really good running back. This running back can run his goddamn ass off. But that offensive line does not look good. Justin Fields does not look good. And that should be a big-ass concern when one of your best quarterbacks that you have, and your best quarterback is Justin Fields. I'm going to be real. I'm going to need Justin Fields to play at 100% every single time because, you know, I got nobody else. I got nobody else that can help us in this situation with the quarterback thing. You know, Justin Fields was trying to scramble, and he couldn't even scramble. That's how much this Miami defense was putting pressure. Not coverage. Coverage was crazy. Not letting, you know, Justin Fields even get any passes off. I mean, it was just embarrassing to watch. And I really wish the Jets would have won this game. I think I even did in my predictions. I said, you know, the Jets are going to win this game. This is finally going to be the first Jets win. They're going to take down the Miami Dolphins. And they make me look like a fool. You know, they look like a shitty-ass team. You know, they look like the Colts in the preseason. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing? I know the preseason doesn't matter, but I'm just saying. You know, when you're looking like a preseason football team and we're in week 4, I think we got some concerns. You know, you need to start winning some football games. Justin Fields needs to start locking the fuck in. Because this is looking rough. You know, 0-4? Are you kidding me? You're going to let the Miami Dolphins beat you? One of the worst teams in football beats you? That just shows you're one of the worst teams in football. Jets. Jets are going to get, offensively, they're going to get like a 4 out of 10. And then that defense is going to get a 4 out of 10 too. You let the Miami Dolphins push up on you. You let the Miami Dolphins whip your ass. You let this Miami defense actually get to your offensive line. That is disappointing to goddamn see. Man. Rough. Lord mighty. I mean, this game was a snooze fest too. It looked like the Miami Dolphins weren't even trying sometimes. You know, they couldn't even sometimes even get the run game going. I was just like, Tua, pass the goddamn ball. Start throwing that bitch because you're not fucking getting anywhere with running. I mean, this shit was just a snooze fest. But I thought the Jets game and the Miami Dolphin game was a snooze fest. At least the Jets were scoring. Let's talk about the next game in the Monday slot. Oh my God, guys. The Cincinnati Bengals go up against the Denver Broncos 3-28. 3-28. They got like 500 yards total. 500 fucking yards total. So you get to see the Bengals still get their ass beat. And I'm just going to be real. This is what happens when you invest all your cap into the wide receivers. When you only focus on the wide receivers and you don't put that same effort in the offensive line, the defensive line. Because once you lose Joe Burrow, you lose everything else. Everything falls apart. When the quarterback goes away, there's nothing for the team to fall back on. There's not a run game to fall back on. There's not an offensive line to keep us going, to protect Jake Browning, to give him some looks. All we got is just wide receivers that are really good, but we have a shitty offensive line, we got a shitty defense, and we got a shitty run game. And when you have those shitty elements, guess what? Your team looks like complete dog shit. They look like complete ass. They look like a shit stain. They look like something that's on your fucking shoe. I mean, goddamn, this is so disappointing to see. 3-28. These guys had one opportunity to go to the red zone. And you know what they spent that one opportunity? They spent that one opportunity to go to the red zone, and they kicked a field goal when it was 4th and 2. This is what I'm saying. Even when you're on the first quarter, if it's 4th and 2, how about you go for it? How about you actually get a touchdown? How about you actually let Jake Browning lock in? I mean, goddamn. I mean, you let Carson Wentz duel you out from Jake Browning and the Bengals, and then you come to Denver Broncos, and I get it. The Denver defense is, insane. But the Denver defense is not that insane. I mean, I'll just be real. This, Denver hype, this whole hype about this team is completely ass because they go against ass teams. And the Bengals are an ass team. Or you go against an ass team, yeah, you're going to be able to put up 500 fucking yards total against a team that, can't even do anything. When they only have wide receivers that are good. I mean, all of the other elements about this team is completely dog shit. And that is so disappointing. Every time you hear these commentators saying the Bengals just have so much talent, they have to get to the playoffs. They're going to get to the playoffs. I'm going to be real. How the fuck are you going to get to the playoffs when all you got is some wide receivers? And even when you get Joe Burrow back. I mean, you get Joe Burrow back, and yeah, he might be slinging it on the offensive side. He might be getting some touchdowns. But what happens when you go up against a really good football team that has really good defense, that is good both sides of the ball? It's just really disappointing to see. You see this team crumble when they go up against actual good teams. You see this team crumble when they go up against bad teams. You see Joe Burrow fucking lose his goddamn mind. And Joe Burrow's got an injury and all that stuff. But I'll just be real. Joe Burrow has not looked good this season. And it's even worse now that he's got an injury. So when he comes back, we'll see if he even looks even the same. I mean, goddamn. I mean, you let the Broncos run your ass to the ground. I mean, where was even the defensive line? It was not there. Because these running backs were just running through this whole entire team. I mean, it was 28. It was 20 points very quick. Very fucking quick. This team got nothing but a field goal. And that is insane. Even in quarter 3, when the Broncos couldn't even get any points, it did not matter because the Bengals could not get any points. That is just insane to me. And it's crazy that this team is number 2 in the standings of the AFC North. Like that is crazy to me. This team is behind Baltimore right now, but they look completely ass. I'm trusting Baltimore way more than the Bengals right now. And I get it, Joe Burrow's not here, but even when Joe Burrow gets here, I'm going to be real. This team is not going to look good still with Joe Burrow even on there because there is something fundamentally wrong with this football team. This football team is not put together. This football team feels like we lazily just put a bunch of good wide receivers. We got Joe Burrow, and we're going to put all of our weight onto Joe Burrow. And I'm going to be real, Joe Burrow's not even that much of a good quarterback to even put all your weight. Put all your weight on a legendary quarterback. Put all your weight on a quarterback like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or something, on that skill set. Or like a Patrick Mahomes. Those are quarterbacks where, yeah, you could put everything on these guys and they're going to win you football games. Is Joe Burrow one of those quarterbacks? They try to make Joe Burrow seem like that in the media, but every year, I'm getting proved wrong every single year. I'm thinking Joe Burrow's a good quarterback, and then he comes on the regular season and just loses it. These guys didn't even make it to the playoffs last year. Why the fuck would they make it to the playoffs now? I mean, goddamn, this team falls apart, and this team's going to keep falling apart when they go up against actual real football teams. When you can't, win by a field goal. When you need to really score touchdowns. When it is just insane. It's just insane. 3-28. that is just crazy in my opinion. I mean, we could go over the recap, but honestly, it's just Bo Nix looking good. And honestly, I liked how Bo Nix looked in this game. Let's talk about some positives now. I mean, the Denver Broncos defense looked dominant. I mean, they looked good. They looked insane. I love seeing my Broncos get some football game wins. When I first started watching the NFL when I was younger, the Broncos were one of my teams. I loved the Broncos. I loved everything about the Broncos, etc. That team, that grit, that culture, that everything about that team. Everything was just there, when I was younger. But I'll just be real, I don't think of the Broncos like that anymore. I kind of think of them like they got a good defense, but that's kind of it. They got a good defense that can, make games interesting, but then that's kind of it. And when they go up against bad teams, yeah, I'm going to pick the Broncos most of all, because when they go up against bad teams in the NFL, I can really hope on the Broncos for taking them out. Bo Nix looked pretty good. He was making some nice passes. The running game. I'll say this, the running game from the running backs today, looked fantastic. They were getting to the line. They were explosive run after explosive run after explosive run. And they were just draining the clock out. And, man, hey, good job, Broncos. I'll be real. So, if we're going to rate these teams today, the Bengals defense is going to get a 1 out of 10. That Bengals offense is also going to get a 1 out of 10. These guys couldn't even score a touchdown. I mean, honestly, I should be handing out 0 out of 10s. Let's just be goddamn real. Denver Broncos, though, I'll give a 6 on the defense, and I'll give a 7 on the offense. I think the offense looked really good. Defense looked pretty dominant and good. But my beliefs about the Broncos is that, they could have, these good runs, etc., have these good runs against these bad teams. But I'll be real, when the Broncos go up against a good football team, I'm not really worried. I'm really not. I mean, the Broncos don't put any fear in me. That best defense, I feel like it's such a clutch sometimes. It's such a crutch. Not clutch. I mean crutch. It's because our defense is not clutching up on good teams. I think it's a crutch sometimes. It's so easy to be like, the Broncos defense is elite, so that automatically makes them a good football team. And I just kind of go, no, because this team is incomplete. I think this offensive line is struggling. I think the penalties from the Broncos is abysmal. I think Bo Nix is not playing his best either. So Bo Nix is not playing his best. We got some issues with the Broncos. And that defense is going to get tired of carrying this Broncos offense. And you see it already. You see it already. I mean, these guys have been struggling already. 2 losses already. That defense is already having problems, with this offense not being that good. If you're going to not even have a above average offense, but have a really good defense, what the fuck are we doing? Can we invest into the offensive line? Can we make, some better weapons for Bo Nix? Can we get a better quarterback than Bo Nix? I mean, let's just be real. Bo Nix is not even that good, I don't know. I hope the Broncos, can win against, honestly, I hope the Broncos keep winning some football games. Unless they go up against the Lions, then, yeah, I'm rooting against the Broncos completely. Fuck the Broncos if they go against the Lions. But, yeah, guys, how y'all feeling about NFL Week 4? The Monday slot of games are over, guys. And, honestly, we are getting to NBA territory, guys. I will be covering the NBA starting October 2nd. I'll be covering the preseason like we did on the NFL show. Oh, it's the same show. But I'm going to be talking about basketball. So it's just more content, more sports content for y'all just now about basketball. Because basketball is one of those sports where, honestly, I feel like the recaps for the NBA are going to be really valuable to y'all. Because, it's really hard keeping up with all of the games in the NBA. It's going to be pretty easy for me to keep up with them, guys. This is kind of all I do. I love sports. I love talking about sports. So, yeah, guys, get ready for the NBA coverage. That's coming up very soon in October. And I'll see you already have a good one. If you're on Pandora, my Pandora people, make sure you follow. We're covering the NFL and the NBA all the way through 2025, all the way through 2026. So make sure you follow. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. And I'll see you already have a good one. Bye.